Lies of P, a game that's sneakily became one of my favorite, probably all time. A little bit of recency bias maybe sneaking in there because I've been playing it. I was playing it basically nonstop a couple months ago, but it came to me during a time where I was becoming very, very bored of gaming, where I got more time spent on my PlayStation, which is what I was playing this on, searching through menus and the shop and the catalog rather than actually playing any games, which was kind of miserable being a gamer that kind of was not having fun with playing games at the time. And as I searched the catalog and I found this, I thought to myself, yeah, why not? This game came out about a year ago, maybe two, and the DLC, to not my knowledge at the time, the DLC had just came out um, about like a couple months prior. And I started playing the game and I just loved it. Kept playing, kept fighting through Krot, getting new weapons, getting new badges, getting new defensive gear, and eventually beat the game. Fell in love with it so much, I was like, okay, well buy the bundle with the DLC, have it for myself for when Sony eventually takes it off of the catalog and I don't know, eventually makes PlayStation Plus so expensive that I don't want to pay for it anyway. But Liza P has become a favorite of mine. And so I just want to make this video sharing my thoughts and just telling people to play the game, man. It's great. I love it. Um, so this is going to be my review of the game. Things I like, things I dislike, things I really want in the sequel that they teased in their own game. It's kind of like a end credit scene in a game. It's great. I'm really excited for it, and just there's really only one big hope I have for that, but I'll save that to the end. There will be some probably major spoilers in this. I'm just gonna put this here. Spoiler warning. Boom, boom. Uh, watch at your own discretion. And here we go. So first off, just the ground rules. Liza P is a action game, much like games of FromSoft, um, where there's just a lot of melee combat, and you have a dodge roll. In this game, you have a block, which I believe you have in Bloodborne, like a parry. I haven't played Bloodborne. Maybe I will eventually, um, but this game I have heard is a little bit about blocking. But you have block, a dodge, you have melee weapons, you have strong and or light and heavy attacks, um, and such things like that. So when you're thinking about Liza P, think it's kind of like a game like that. But kind of my first point about, or let's rip the band-aid off and start with the things that I didn't necessarily like about the game. Gameplay wise, the game did start to feel a little easy, probably at around maybe a quarter way through, maybe. And it just kind of, I was able to just kind of run in and kind of just stab and slash without really much thought, and still win most boss fights. In my first playthrough, there was one boss fight that kicked my butt big time, um, and it was the like mutated parade master that had all the carcass junk in him. That guy really messed me up because I was a very block heavy guy. I kind of use I guess I'll call them the cheese weapons that have the skill called absolute defense, which basically makes it during any of the unblockable attacks, I basically get a free perfect guard that will block it for me. So some of the less difficulty may have been from my own uh, desire to play a cheesy playstyle, I guess. But the game overall, I do believe, lacks a bit of that kind of punch that fans of this type of game tend to enjoy. Um, Moving on to the next kind of thing I didn't enjoy, and this is in a narrative sense. Uh, there's one big thing they do at around, I guess it'd be the midpoint of the game, after or before you fight the King of Puppets. They spoil their big twist finale to you by showing the King of Puppets has a little show going on where it shows Geppetto taking P's heart and giving it to another body, which ends up being the big twist at the end, or supposed to be the big twist at the end, where after you defeat the head of the alchemists, I forget his name off the top of my head, Simon Manus, you then go down an elevator and Geppetto's like, "Hey, I want to bring my son back. You were just a tool for that. Give me your heart so I can put it in this other body, and I guess that's better than what you were becoming currently." Um, but I do believe that twist would have served better if not really shown at the King of Puppets scene, and I do believe it kind of doesn't necessarily fit the King of Puppets order, because I feel like the King of Puppets, once you do a New Game Plus run, he's mainly focusing on the carcasses, fighting them. That's why he sends his army to the cathedral to kind of try to fight them and root out the carcass threat. Now, I'm not saying he doesn't dislike Geppetto, but I don't believe that was his goal at the time. And I get it, maybe he saw you were coming and wanted to warn you, but I think it would have made more sense to have that scene be something towards the alchemist, maybe that being your first indicator of who Simon Manus is, and then when you finally meet him later at the exhibition, that would kind of be payoff for that. And then the big twist where Geppetto's evil can mainly happen through maybe small conversations, maybe a little, like for New Game Plus players, a little thing he says as he's being defeated, uh, through maybe some posters or little letters or notes throughout the game, um, that the astute gamer can maybe figure out. But then those of us who aren't as astute, or mainly me, that don't read that stuff, would get to the end and be like, what the fuck? So that's that. Other than that, I do believe narratively, again, isn't there narrative, or I guess narrative, I don't know, kind of downside to me is some of the side characters I do not believe were were super useful, right? And to me, I get you want to kind of expand the world, that's why you have more characters, but um, to me, it kind of feels like filler. Eh. Uh, one of which characters is, I believe her name's Belle, which is the soldier lady that you meet in the Grand Exhibition. And later on, she gives you one little thing where you're supposed to find her partner, and he ends up being a carcass, so she's all sad. But other than that, she doesn't do anything. Like, she's not important to P at all. There's no really extended side quest that gets you to really care about her. And so I fail to really see what point she even had in the game. That, like, I don't believe the game would be any different without her presence. Another character I believe is not super, at least in the base game, he is better in Overture. Which this video is meant to be my thoughts of both the full game, including Overture. And even Overture, like even though it's harder, uh, and this may have been less served because I did my first playthrough of Overture in uh New Game Plus One, but Overture I believe also not super difficult. But throughout the base game, Gemini is another character that I don't believe is very well. That sounds mean. It doesn't really do a lot for me, Gemini, because he's meant to be this cricket, like the play on like the um, conscious cricket that Pinocchio has, which in the book, um, Pinocchio kills him, and then I believe he comes back later as a ghost or something. But a lot of people know him from the Disney movie where he guides Pinocchio on the right path. So that's kind of like, I guess, the idea I'm trying to go for here, where like you would think maybe Gemini could have been utilized as like a antithesis to the lying, right? Like you start lying and then maybe he's like, "Oh, why'd you say that, pal? Like that's not very good." And maybe he can kind of be that in this case because the lying is good throughout the game for the most part. I think there's only like one or two instances where lying's not the good part or the good option, the more human option. Um, where he's like trying to guide you to that other side, almost like the devil on your shoulder. Um, which, as anyone who's finished/played enough of the game understands, if you don't have enough humanity level, you can do nothing except give Geppetto your heart at the end of the game. So maybe having a character kind of playing that side, but like maybe near the end of the game he understands and like sides with you more. Um, and I guess moving on to Overture Gemini, he does do that a little better, where he does seem to at least give his thoughts more on what's going on throughout the DLC and kind of saying like, "Hey, let's go do this." Um, well, again, like in the base game, he's mainly your tour guide. You go into an area, it's like, "Oh, here's what this area is about," and that's about it. Mm, yeah. Other than that, I believe one other thing I don't like, or it doesn't really do a lot to me, Gemini, is you and Leia in the DLC Overture both have Gemini on your hip, and it's never really brought up. I believe she has Gemini on her hip, but it's never really brought up like, oh, why are there two Geminis? Now, Leia does at the end of the DLC after or as you're fighting or before you're fighting or right around after you beat Arlecchino, which that's an awesome boss fight. I really love that one. Um, she believes you to be Carlo, which Carlo was Geppetto's son, which you're a puppet made in the likeness of. And she believes that to be and basically says, "Hey, this is your story now. Go." But it would have been nice to have a couple pieces of dialogue when you first meet her. It's like, "Hey, that's a very similar looking thing on your belt there." Um, I do believe they were mass produced or something. Like there's a line about them being kind of common, like a common lantern type, but I'm sure something could have been said. Now, moving on to the things I really enjoy about the game. First up, I do believe the overall narrative is pretty good. It kept me hooked throughout it. It was a nice vehicle for like the gameplay. Um, it does use a good chunk of its characters well, or well enough for me. Um, there are some moments that do build like great tension, and this may be it may be less of the narrative and more like sound design and things like that, but there's some great like one of the most tense moments in my opinion is the hotel like rescue because you're going through the Krot Central Station for the second time, and then you are basically called out by Simon Manis. He basically figures out y'all have been talking, you've been on the comms, and he's like, uh, you suck, I'm better, basically. And it basically, I think he also says basically, hey, here's my address. he drops the Addy and basically tells you to come fight him. Not exactly, but basically, I think so. And then you learn that the hotel's under attack. All the other people you've met, and I think again one of the thoughts I had in this first playthrough is like these are my friends. Like I gotta go save my friends. Kind of like Goku rushing back from King Kai's planet to save his friends from Vegeta. And so you're running back, and you have to fight through all sorts of enemies. You have to fight through a corrupted version of the Parade Master, and then you eventually reach the final or you reach Hotel Krat. Another thing the narrative I absolutely loved was the reveal of Sophia's true body, because you know Sophia throughout the game, and she's basically your female helper character like Melina in Elden Ring, and I believe was it the Firekeeper in Dark Souls 3 or something? I don't know. I haven't played Dark Souls games. I should, but I have not yet. Um, so and then you eventually learn that she has been basically petrified, carcassized, all up basically, and she claims she's in a lot of pain, and basically you then have to make a choice. This is one of the choices I really enjoy because it is something like it's a bit of a moral dilemma. People have different ideas even in real life about how to do this. Case in point, um, I had a grandma who was about was she in her mid 80s, but she was basically, and it sucked, but she was gonna die. She was dying of cancer, and there was many in the family that chose to, or they in themselves wanted to keep her alive. And while they wouldn't admit it, they would, and like, I don't know, because again, this is off topic, but I guess this is a choice of keeping someone alive, because is life, like just physical life, important enough to be in pain for, be in that much pain for? Or will you take it into your own hands and at least help set them free from that? Help them move on to whatever. And that's why, because like that's a choice people can argue both sides for. Even in real life, people do it with their family members. Now, of course, me personally, I believe that the real mercy is to let them go. And in this case, like again, first choice I made, my first playthrough was to give her peace, to let her move on. So there's some great set pieces in this game. They're used very well. Um, just following Leia throughout Overture is another great set piece as well. Um, and then like whenever which it's a little silly to look at, but it is really great. Just the mangled arms of Romeo when Leia sees those. That's another great set piece. Um, I mean, I love the fight with the nameless puppet. That's a great set piece because when some of the new memories you've gained out of the life you've lived as P start to flash as you fight, like meeting Eugene the blacksmith. Um, that's the one I just remember off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure there's others because it's just that fight is, at least to me, kind of difficult. So I'm focusing on the fight rather than the dialogue that's happening during the fight. But I remember hers. Um, and I do think if I just thought more, I could think of more and more great set pieces this game has, just kind of narratively. The combat and like just overall gameplay is fine. I enjoy it. Um, Other than that, what else do I like? I mean, other than that, I love a lot of the music, the sound design. Um, just like kind of the background music, like music that's happening while you fight, music while you're walking around the world. But also specifically throughout the game, you can get records, and the records are also very enjoyable. They're just little songs. I think is there one called Together? There's a couple in there, and they're all really good. I recommend you go listen to them either on YouTube or if you have the game, listen to them. And I enjoy them. I enjoy them very much. Now, on to the final part of this video where I just want to talk about what I hope for the future game that they even hinted at the end of this game in a cutscene where basically it turns out Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz is in Krot. In this game, one of the things I would like to see, and I guess maybe this should have been in my one of the things that kind of don't work for me in the game, but I wish to see a more impactful version of the humanity system or whatever it would be. Because I like it in theory, the humanity system, but it kind of begins to feel like it's just a choose your ending simulator. Because it doesn't really change the interactions you have with people, it doesn't change how people view you. It just kind of basically allows you to change a bit visually by yourself. And actually, you do act a bit different. Like, I believe as you become more human, instead of hearing like gears and springs, like whenever you grunt or you like do a heavy attack or when you take fall damage, you do start to have more human noises. Like, you just grunt when you hit the ground or you grunt whenever you swing your weapon. And that's a nice touch. I really do love that. That's really good. Keep some of that, please. But other than that, it doesn't really feel very impactful to the world. It feels impactful to the ending, but not very impactful to you or the world outside of really cosmetic changes. So I'd like to see that in whatever Dorothy game. I'd like to keep the great music. I love to keep great set pieces. And I'd love to keep some great characters. Not from this game, but just have great characters, have great music, and just if I can have like two, three, hope maybe five of really great set pieces that really just get me either like makes me feeling something, either happy, angry, sad, whatever it is. Um, Other than that, that's my rant about the video game Lies of P. Uh, if you like it, I'm hoping to do more, but today, right now, this YouTube's just gonna be my hobby. I'm just gonna sit down. Hopefully, I'm gonna get better at it, but I'm just gonna sit down and rant about games that I played and kind of review them. Uh, I don't really want to give a number review, but this game gets lying is fun out of 10. Yeah. Goodbye.